Hi guys, welcome to another episode of In the Garden with MBC. I'm Marc Boucher-Colbert, the MBC that we're talking about there, and I'm your host here. Today I want to just jump right in. I'm in my basement grow room. I want to show you around a little bit, and I want to talk through some of the things that are important to get our season going, to allow us to grow good quality transplants. Also, I use this room to grow microgreens and some kale and baby lettuces all year long. So I'm harvesting out of my grow room all year long. It's a multi-purpose space. One of the cool things about growing indoors is, especially in your home, is that you already have the heat piece taken care of. You're basically creating ideal temperatures for most garden vegetables. So that's just a given. You're creating it because you want the comfort, but the plants can benefit from that as well. The only other thing we really need to provide then that we're missing from the outdoor environment is the light. So let's get right into light and talk a little bit about that, because I think this is one of the most crucial elements to establishing a grow space, whether it's just a little counter space on your desk, and I'll show you a light that's suited for that, or whether it's kind of a bigger commercial style operation like this rack system. I grew microgreens for the last 5 years, and I had a much bigger space. I've recently had to downsize, unfortunately, but I still preserve some of my equipment, and I want to show you some of that. So this is a kind of a commercial style setup using a 4-bar LED system. LED stands for light emitting diode, and you can see it's a very clean, bright light. This is a kind of a therapeutic place to be during the winter. Out here in the Pacific Northwest, we get the winter blahs, the gray skies, the rain, and just to come down here is really an amazing spot. Also down below, you can hear that water going. I do have a little aquaponics setup. It's not a full circulating setup, but I have a couple of goldfish in a garbage can. I have another kind of a sump area that collects water and circulates it around. It does get pumped up to this, which is full of some clay pellets, which provides a place for bacteria to convert fish wastes to nitrates. And then I just scoop out water and water my plants with that, and then refill with, deconditioned tap water. So there is a little cycle going on here where I have some fish involved in the process, kind of doing an indoor hydroponic setup. Let's look over here though. This is a small setup. Let me tilt that down so you can kind of get a sense of what's going on there. This is really just a kitchen counter LED setup that I love. It's compact. Again, the quality of light is beautiful. You can see the plants are thriving. Here I have broccoli microgreens that I'm just about to eat tonight and tomorrow. We're going to harvest those. So that's a really lovely setup and really could be put anywhere in the home. What I'm going to show you is some of the light itself. Here we see a lot of white, but we see the red and blue that's characteristic of a lot of plant lights. Why is red and blue light important? Well, red and blue light are the kinds of light that plants actually respond to the best. If we think of the full spectrum visible light, we can think of the rainbow, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Plants are optimized to take advantage of the red and the blue light at the far ends of the spectrum. Human eyes, on the contrary, are optimized to take advantage of the middle of the spectrum. We're kind of middle of the road green, yellow creatures. So this is why ordinary normal house lights, which are optimized for our vision, don't work very well for plants. When you're selecting a plant light, you want to make sure you're getting something that says full spectrum, because that's going to have the range of blues and reds that are needed to grow plants well. You can grow plants under a lot of different kinds of lights. When I started my farming career, I used just plain old bluish shop lights. I did need to keep them very close to the plant, so that was a key part of a light like that is a much weaker light. It doesn't have the output of these LEDs. So light is, it's, in addition to be a wave, it's a particle. So basically, I think of spitting watermelon seeds. Like whatever the light source is, it's spitting out these photons. And ordinary shop fluorescents are very weak spitters. They don't spit that many photons. Whereas these LEDs are powerful spitters. They're throwing down a lot of photons, so you don't need to have the lights as close. indeed over here I have my plants a full 2 feet under the lights and they're still growing great. All right, so light is really important. Get the light right, you're gonna be well on the way. Next thing that's important obviously for my plants is soil. So I mix my own potting soil right here. I have this handy little tray that keeps things kind of neat and tidy. And I have some rubber gloves that I don't have here for mixing. And then I also have this lovely stainless steel scoop. This is really handy for measuring my recipe. Basically I do a 3-3-2-1. 3 parts of my own compost, 3 parts of coconut fiber, 2 parts of pumice, and 1 part finished earthworm castings. So I'm providing some of my own material there in my own household compost that I sift, and then I'm also relying on other bagged products that I get at my local nursery. But using a scoop, I just use this as my standard measure. We're all good. Mix it up in here. I do use a variety of different trays and pots. You've seen these green ones with the broccoli. Here I'm actually sprouting some ginger, so that'll be kind of fun. I use trays like this, heavy-duty plastic trays that have a nice big hole in the bottom. When that start is ready, you can just pop the whole thing out. Comes out as a nice little block. I have used soil blocks. I don't have a soil block maker here, but I do use that at school. Here's a nice little tray of kale, by the way, that's coming up very well. And then I use coconut fiber pots as well. Like here I have a number of peas ready to go. These are golden sweet. I'm looking forward to those. Those are for the rooftop garden at Noble Rot. And when they're ready, I'll just pop them in. You can see some substantial root growth already. They really have another day or two under the lights. And these guys are going to go outside for a transition period and then up to the Noble Rot. That is one thing to remember. You've got to, when you're growing under lights indoors, you've got to provide some kind of a transition period, especially as we get into the summer, because the summer sun is so much harsher than these lights, so much more powerful, that you can get sunburn and sun scald if you just bring your plants out right away. So you need to kind of accustom them as you get them out of the grow room. Let's talk about what I can grow year-round. You'll notice that I have one big container. This is a hefty bugger, but up to starting from yesterday, I had 3 of these prior to yesterday, I should say. But now 2 of them I had to take outside because I'm kicking them out. I need the space. But you can see I've got a dwarf curly kale here. I've got some cilantro. Also got some basil coming up. And I have been harvesting off this kale for months now. It just keeps coming, and I cut the outer leaves. I give it a dilute fertilization once a week with some fish fertilizer. And everything looks vibrant and nice. It's growing really well. So these crops, like I said, I've been harvesting off this kale all season long. That's a very sturdy shelf, by the way, because that's really heavy. And the microgreens, for example, this is part of my strategy to just provide nutrition year-round. Once you make an investment in these lights, no point in just keeping it for just the spring season, right? You can keep the lights going, you can keep certain things growing in the very even, predictable environment indoors. That's another really big plus. You don't get severe wind here. You don't get severe drought. You control it. You keep it going. You'll see that a lot of my containers are in trays as well. And this allows me to bottom water. I can just fill in water in the tray. There's really no mess. And then the plants soak that up. And when I see that it's dry again, I can fill it up again. So a lot of bottom watering keeps things neater and tidier in the grow room. Let me show you a few other tools that I have and that make life easier. I really like a small pair of scissors like this. Helps me thin out plantings. So here, for example, that little tray of kale again, I've seeded 3 or 4 seeds per. The seed is very vigorous because you can see pretty much everything came up as intended. And often during the first thinning, I'm going to cut to 2 seeds per cell. And then I'm going to wait and watch and make sure I get a good viable, whichever one is most viable when I'm ready to transplant. So little scissors like this are really essential. I do a lot of thinning in the grow room. That's really important. let's see what else we got. We got a host of other little tools. We got a sprayer. I was going to spray you, but then I think that could be counterproductive. For misting, this one actually is the best one I've ever found. HDX sprayer. I think it's offered through Home Depot. It's wide mouth for easy filling. That makes a difference when you stick this thing in a water source and you're waiting for it to fill up. And it advertises it can spray at any angle. I have found that to be true. So it makes a nice mist. After I put my seeds on top of my potting mix, I'm often misting them, and then I'll cover them with a little bit of coconut fiber. This is one of my favorites, some tongs. Got these at a local pet shop for feeding crickets to your reptiles. But I find they have 100 uses in the grow room. You can thin plants out with them. You can kind of ream holes if you want to, when you're transplanting things. I also like these little stainless steel tools and such. These are some of the little ancillary items that help make things function smoothly in the grow room. Anyway, there's a million things we could talk about. We're limited in time. We're going to talk more about all this kind of stuff. You'll be seeing some of these tools again out in the field, at the Noble Restaurant where I garden on the roof, and at the school garden, Franciscan Montessori Earth School, where I also garden. So we'll talk about some of these things again. Anyway, I'm just wishing you a great start to your garden season. I hope you got a grow room set up. Hope you got some little area that you can claim, and let's just get growing. That's what this program's all about, right? All right, we'll see you next week.